Hello, guys! Have you ever visited a castle before? No? So let's visit one together. Isn't it beautiful? It's so huge, right? And this castle is pretty old. A long, long time ago, in Bersia, in Susa, there lived a king, also in a big castle like this. Maybe a little bit bigger. And this king was the king of Babylon. Actually, this castle was just his winter palace. In the summertime, he spent most of the time somewhere else. But still, this palace was beautiful. And the king wanted to show this to all his people. He celebrated a great feast and invited all the people from the city of Susa. Next door, the queen, Vashti, celebrated with the women. They also had a good time together, but then a servant of the king came and said to her she should come to the king and she should wear something beautiful. The king wanted to show everyone his beautiful wife, but she said no and refused. Because she didn't feel comfortable having her husband, the king, show her off in front of the whole bunch of other men. As the king heard she wouldn't come, he was really upset. To show that women should honor their husbands, the king passed a law which took the crown from the queen. She was no longer the queen. After a while, the king was sad and wanted to have a queen and a wife again. His servant noticed that too. You have to get another queen, another woman. Invite everyone who is beautiful from all over your kingdom for over a year, and then you can choose the most beautiful of them, the servant said. The king liked that idea. So it happened that shortly afterwards the king's servants looked across the kingdom for a beautiful young woman. It was like a beauty contest. They also came to Mordecai. Mordecai lived in Susa. His beautiful cousin, Esther, also lived in his house. Since her parents were killed, Mordecai and his wife took care of her. But now the king's servant came. Esther is so beautiful. We want her at the king's palace. So Esther had to go with them. The Bible doesn't say whether she was happy or not. Of course, it was great to be one of the women who are beautiful. And it was beautiful in the palace too. But you have to do what the king says. You aren't allowed to go outside. You have to listen to the king's servant, and it wasn't sure that Esther is going to be the next queen. There were many girls. Only one would become the new queen. The others then belonged to the palace outbuilding for the rest of their life, and they aren't allowed to go out and be with their family or their friends. But I know that Esther trusted God. Mordecai possibly told her, Esther, trust in God. He has a plan for you. He knows what to do, and He's always with you. God has a plan for you too. You may not understand some things that happen, but you can trust God because He has a plan for you. He loves you and wants you to know He is with you wherever you go in life. Even at home right now during the COVID-19 isolation time. With these thoughts, Esther went with the king's servant. Mordecai said to her, Don't tell anyone you're Jewish. The people of Babylon took us away from our home in Israel, and they don't believe in God. It's better for now that you stay quiet about God." Esther obeyed. Haggai, the highest servant, took care of the woman. He liked Esther, and so Esther got the most beautiful room in the women's shelter. Esther and the other women were given the best food to eat. Of course, everything was just healthy, but they weren't allowed to do what they wanted. They did a lot of beauty treatments, for example, face masks and other stuff. Beauty treatments are maybe fun for a week, but not every day for a year. Mordecai passed the courtyard of the women's shelter every day. He was, of course, not allowed in, but he asks how Esther was doing. Then Esther waited for the big day. Other women had already come to the king and he had looked at them, but apparently he hadn't found his new queen yet. And now it was Esther's turn. She was definitely excited. Now her whole future would be decided. When you are a little older, there are things for you that decide your future. You have to choose which job you want to learn. You have to decide who you want to marry. These decisions then determine your future life. Therefore, it is sometimes difficult to decide what to do because you do not know the future. But God knows. God knows you, and He always has a good plan for you. Pray and ask God to show you what you should do. Talk to others who love God and follow Jesus. They also will help you. This is how God can help you make the right decision. Esther prayed too, but she had no choice herself. The king had the choice. But Esther knew that God had a good plan for her. Then the time came. Haggai, the servant, came to Esther. He said, "Tomorrow you go to the king. You choose the most beautiful clothes for this special day. You can have everything you want for jewelry, makeup, perfume." When Haggai, the servant of the king, had said that to the other woman, they would have chosen the most precious clothes. After all, they wanted to please the king, but Esther said otherwise. "Give me what to wear," she asked Haggai. She didn't want to do anything wrong to get her own way. So she let Haggai decide. Haggai chose Esther a dress that suited her well. Then he brought her to the king. Esther's heart was pounding loud. Of course, she had seen the king from afar, but she had never come as close to him as now. Would she do everything right now? When the king saw Esther, he immediately liked her. But many beautiful women had been with him before, but when he got to know them better, he hadn't liked them. Now Esther came to him. She bowed to the king. Then they talked. Esther was no longer afraid. She trusted in God. God is with me, she kept thinking. No matter what's happened, God has a good plan for me. God's plan is not always the plan we have for our lives, but He has a good plan for you. Allow God to be the number one in your life. What He believes about you is true and the best. Esther trusted and obeyed God, and now she waited for the king's decision. The time with the king had been very nice for her, but it wasn't her decision. The king spoke. "Esther, I like you. I want you to be the new queen," he said. Then he took a crown and put it on Esther's head. all over the country, you could hear the announcement,
Esther is the new queen.
the king celebrated a big festival. Esther was happy. There's more to this story about Esther next week. What will God ask her to do as a queen? God also has a good plan for you this week. Whenever you are not sure what to do, you can pray and talk with God and ask Him to give you courage to trust Him, like Esther did.